to Deputy Chair, we have the Chairperson of the Region of eThekwini, Comrade Zandile Kumete. Next to the Secretary of the Veterans League, we have the Chairperson of Musadlaka, Comrade Nontem Kulis.
We are ready for the woman president. We are ready.
We are ready.
Next to her, we have my secretary, because I come from Ebakulusini, the regional secretary, Comrade Pietermaritzburg. All right, I think I've introduced all the leaders now. Huh? Yeah, all right, then let's just quickly go to Comrade Usheng, who will give me an opportunity to read our statement. Immediately after that, the Chairperson of the Women's League will add After that, Sizoniges Tuba Comrade Tuba Budlomo as the Chairperson of the Veterans League to also add, and then we will take questions. Chef.
Thank you very much, Comrade Nomakuku, and Amanda, to all of you, ladies and gentlemen from the media. We are going to read the joint statement from the ANC Youth League, ANC Women's League, ANC Veterans League, and ANC regions in KwaZulu-Natal. So firstly, I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for responding to our invitation to this media briefing. This media briefing is intended to communicate to society our reflection on the court judgment delivered yesterday pertaining to the 8th Provincial Conference of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. We appreciate the fact that society at large has an enormous interest on anything that happens in the ANC, because the ANC is not only a governing party, but its presence and hegemony in society make it difficult for anyone not to be interested. It is for this reason that the judgment on the internal processes of the ANC as delivered by the High Court yesterday has become a subject of national discourse, even by those in the opposition. It is our firm view that this subject of national discourse will not be complete without the voice of some of us who were intrinsically involved in the process, hence our decision to communicate with society today. Yesterday, the High Court in Pietermaritzburg granted an order in favor of the applicants and declared the 8th Provincial Conference of the ANC unlawful and void. The applicants had contended that the court should annul the 8th Provincial Conference of the ANC based on the following grounds: that the conference was not properly convened, as it said before the end of the term of office of the PEC, of the then PC, the 4-year term of office, and without the request by the 1/3 of branches of the ANC as required by the Constitution. 2, that there were irregularities in relation to the process leading to the provincial conference. 3, that the conference results were predetermined and they relied on the fake tweet which was purported to have been from the ANC Twitter account and contained the results while voting was still taking place. Now, on the issue of the alleged irregularities, it is profound to note that the court found that it was not satisfied that the applicants have clearly established a fatal irregularity which will nullify the entire conference process. The court further found that while there were some issues with regard to 4 branches, it was not persuaded that the outcome of the provincial conference would have been affected materially, and certainly not such as to cause it to be set aside. eventually the court concluded that the alleged irregularities complained of were indeed not established. So here the court agrees with us that a narrative that has been propounded since the 8th Provincial Conference was actually fictitious. On the allegation of the predetermined outcomes as allegedly contained in the fake tweet, the court refused to draw any inference of fraud since applicants failed to establish the authenticity of the tweet in question. And it has always been our stand that that fake tweet or that tweet was nothing but a fake and a fabrication. I think all of you will agree with me that if you tweet something now, within the space of 5 to 10 minutes, it will be all over. It will have gone viral. Now, how was it possible that a tweet that will allegedly contain predetermined results will go out when the voting process is still taking place, but only be seen after the conference? How is it possible? It's just not possible. So it is clear that somebody waited for the outcomes and was aggrieved by the outcomes and decided to fabricate a tweet. And we think the court correctly found that the applicants, because as we know in law, one who avers must prove. So they failed to prove the authenticity of the tweet in question. So it was important to put these matters to the fore so that the society is favored with the correct information to dispel the narrative that has been propounded by applicants that the conference was rigged and marred by material irregularities. Since the 8th Provincial Conference, the applicants have been on a relentless journey to impugn the credibility of the Provincial Conference and the processes leading to it. Today, society knows that such a narrative was fictitious and disingenuous, such that it could not even be sustained in court. Unfortunately, even post this judgment, some still continue with this narrative that has actually been dismissed by the court of law, that the conference was rigged, the conference was marked with material irregularities and all of that. But we want to say to society, the court has agreed with us that even there were challenges with 4 branches. Those challenges were never material such that they would have affected the conference, the results of the conference. You know those 4 branches, even if you can donate delegates 10 each, 10 each, give them 10. They will be 40. And the margin was 105. And the court in its wisdom correctly said that even there were challenges with regard to those 4 branches, but it was improbable that they would have materially affected the process, but also the outcomes of the conference. So we think that the applicants and the supporters of the applicants will find it probably correct to respect the truth and not to seek to mislead the society. The only ground upon which the court relied on to nullify the conference is that the conference was convened before the end of the 4-year term of office and without the request of 1/3 of branches in the province. That is the sole ground that the court relied on in arriving at a decision that the conference was unlawful and void. However, because the ANC is a political organization, material interpretation of or mechanical interpretation of its constitution will always lead to absurdity. The mechanical approach adopted by the court in interpreting the ANC constitution failed to appreciate a number of realities that are obtaining in the ANC as a political organization. Because the ANC is not a church or an NGO for that matter. It is a political organization. And politics by its nature, it evolves from time to time. So it is not possible that the ANC constitution will always be prescriptive on all political occurrences. That is why from time to time the ANC will give political guidance on critical matters that are affecting the organization. As I'm saying that, firstly, it is not practically possible for the ANC constitution to cover all political occurrences, and therefore the interpretation of the constitution of the ANC should be flexible and purposive. If you want to be mechanical, you will always miss the point. Secondly, the court decision as it stands fails to appreciate that the Provincial Executive Committee exercises executive powers. And the fact that it's elected by branches does not mean it is now the substructure of branches. Because that is the narrative that is now being propounded in society. That the PEC cannot do anything unless it is told by branches to do so. The ANC confers executive powers. The ANC constitution confers executive powers to the Provincial Executive Committee. And those powers are not delegated. It's not delegated powers, unlike regions. Regions exercise delegated powers from the province. The executive powers of the Provincial Executive Committee are conferred to it by the constitution of the ANC. And any interpretation to the effect that the ANC Provincial Executive Committee does not have executive powers is contrary to the letter, the spirit, and the purport of Rule 91 of the ANC Constitution, which provides that, and I quote, "The PEC is the highest organ of the ANC in a province between provincial conferences and has authority to lead the organization in the province, subject to the provisions of the Constitution." The PEC has authority to lead the organization in the province. Thirdly, it could not have been the intention of the authors of the ANC Constitution, the authors in this case being the delegates to the 53rd National Conference of the ANC that was held in Mangaung. It could not have been their intention that Rule 17.21, which speaks about the 1/3 of branches requesting an early conference, it could not have been their intention that such rule should be used to deny the PEC of its right to request a conference before the end of its term of office if the circumstances demand so. The sole purpose of Rule 17.2.1 was to give powers to the branches to request a conference should they come to a determination that a PEC is no longer able to lead the organization. So the branches could come to that determination and then are empowered by the Constitution to therefore request the conference. And the requirement of 1/3 of branches only serve to safeguard the organization from abuse, where a conference will be convened at the request of bare minimum of branches. Because if there was no requirement of 1/3, but still this power of requesting a conference is conferred to branches, it means that 3 branches will meet and say, we want a conference now. And constitutionally, they will be allowed to request that conference. And then we will have a marathon of conferences in the ANC where 3 branches sit in a corner and request a conference 2 year or 1 year down the line, 3 other branches also sit in another corner and request the conference. But we argue that this rule does not deny the PEC its right to request the conference before the end of term of office if in its wisdom has come to a determination that it is better to go to a provincial conference and hand over the organization to its branches. As stated above, it is practically impossible for the ANC constitution to be prescriptive on all political occurrences. And one of the instances where the constitution is not prescriptive, one of those instances is what happens when a PEC, in its collective wisdom, is of a determination that it is reaching a state of paralysis and is unable to lead the organization, or that particular circumstances and political consideration demands that a conference is called before the end of term of office. Let me make a practical example. The applicants argue that this conference, the 8th conference, should have set in 2016, not in 2015. And we all know that in 2016, we were going for local government elections. Now imagine a chaos of an ANC that is preparing its conference in year 2016 and still has to campaign and win the local government elections of 2016. That would have resulted in an untold political chaos. And that's why we believe that the court judgment as is fails to appreciate those political dynamics that the ANC has to grapple with from time to time. But also, we ask a question, what happens when the PC in its own wisdom decides that now we can no longer lead, or lead in a correct way? Let's go to a conference. Some of you probably will not know that the people who are now complaining that the conference was held before time are the very same people that were the first to make a call that the provincial conference must be held before 2016, because they had mistakenly thought that they have a support. So lenkomba siyayibamba madoda siphuma nayo masambeni manje siye conference. And when they realized that no, they don't have the support that they thought they had, then they somersaulted and said no, it's not correct to hold the conference now. If you ask Comrade Senzo Mkhulu and Comrade Sihle Zigalala, they will tell you that the first person to make a call for an early conference is Comrade Senzo Mkhulu. That is the first comrade who made a call for an early conference.
We were there.
Some comrades were there, and we can challenge you to go and ask him if we're telling lies. The PEC deliberated on that issue, and some of us, our comrades who were in that PEC at that time, cautioned, no, what is this rush? And this rush was pushed so hard that we were all convinced that no, let's go to a provincial conference. Now that the outcomes of the provincial conference did not favor them, now it becomes a problem for everyone in the organization. Now, it is our contention that in the circumstances, the PEC has every right to request an early conference from the National Executive Committee and is not compelled to wait. Is not compelled to wait for one-third of branches in order for it to request a provincial conference. The 8th provincial conference was indeed a request by the then Provincial Executive Committee based on the political consideration and was approved by the National Executive Committee. In any way, even if the one-third of branches are of a view that an early conference must be held, they make a request to the National Executive Committee. And in this case, the PEC, the then PEC in its wisdom, made a request, and that request was granted by the National Executive Committee. We also feel that the court erred in ignoring the precedents in the movement. The history of the ANC is littered with examples where elective conferences of different structures of the movement were held before the end of their terms of office. And probably, let's explain this thing of a term of office. That the intention to prescribe the number of years for a particular structure is so that a structure does not sit perpetually in office. It is not the intention that to say there must be the term of office of the PEC is 4 years. Therefore, there can never be any conference within these 4 years, unless obviously requested by the 1/3 of branches. The prescription of 4 years is meant to say you are elected up until this term, so you can't go beyond this term of this particular years of 4 years, unless obviously you get such authority from the National Executive Committee, because as I'm saying, we're a political organization and politics evolve and is dynamic. The court having dismissed the allegations of irregularities, it is our considered view that it should also have dismissed this ground of timing that the conference was held early and before the term of office, not only on the basis of the aforementioned arguments, but also on the basis that the application or the applicants failed to attack the decision to convene the conference, but instead participated in all conference processes up until the end. And if the applicants were genuine, they should not have participated in the processes leading to the provincial conference. Their conduct proves that it was never about the timing of conference, but about the outcomes of conference. We wonder if the outcomes of conference favored them, they would have gone to court and say, no, hey, by the way, we were elected by an illegitimate conference. Surely no, they would not have done that. You see, a decision is taken that a conference will sit. A decision is taken. You agree with that decision. You participate in all processes leading to the provincial conference. You even participate at the conference itself. You avail yourself and say, I'm available. You say, I'm available. The majority of branches disagrees with you. They disagree with you. You also go and say, even on additional members, I'm still available. And still the majority of branches disagree with you. And at the end of conference, you remember, yo, I made a mess here, let me go to court. Now, you can't run an organization like that. And in this case, that is exactly what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a case of comrades who were aggrieved by the outcomes. And then they decided then to question the process that they were part of from the beginning. That is why we believe the court or another court can arrive at a different decision. Hence our view that the PEC must appeal. We have noted with shame the narrative that any decision to appeal will be based on our fear to rerun the conference and will not help to unify the organization. Now, we want to put this one categorically clear, that even if the conference was to rerun tomorrow, the same outcomes of 2015 will be confirmed. Yes. In fact, it will be worse. They will not even meet a threshold for that matter. You remember, some of you probably were there, they even started to reach a threshold even at that conference. This time they will not reach it. So we're not scared. We're not scared of a rerun of a conference. We can go over this weekend and reconvene the conference over this weekend. And the outcomes of 2015 will be the same. And not in fact, it will be worse. People will not make it to the ballot. It will not make it to the ballot. They will not make it to the ballot. Our view is that we must appeal this decision so that we avoid creating a bad precedent that will hamstring the ANC in its operation. You know, let me remind some of you. You will remember that I think between 2009 and 2014, there was a chaos in Northwest. And the ANC, in its collective wisdom, said the only solution to that is to deploy the then Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Thandi Modise, to be the Premier of Northwest. And the constitution of the ANC says what? The DSG should be full-time in the ANC office. That's what the constitution of the ANC says. But because we are not a church, we're a political organization, a political decision had to be taken in the interest of the ANC and in the interest of society. That Comrade Thandi Modise, the then DSG, should go and be the Premier of Northwest. Now, where were these applicants at that time? By the way, some of them agreed that Comrade Thandi Modise should be the Premier. They never raised all these mechanical interpretation of the Constitution. And that is the problem. That is the problem that we have. I can show all of you see here. You see the province Pelele. Leagues are here. Regions are here. So we are here. Now, even if the national says, let's go to a provincial conference over the weekend, we are ready. We are ready. So there's no crisis in the movement. We are no crisis of the. But there's one thing also that we want to correct, and that we want to argue further. We have heard the national spokesperson, and I think the SG also saying that no, the KZN can't take a unilateral decision to appeal. It's a preserve of the National Executive Committee or national leadership. You see, from the beginning of this process, this battle has been our battle. The National Executive Committee members could not even come to court to defend the ANC. They could not. Now, it's very strange that they leave us and say, handle the case. And when the outcomes of the case are out, they say, no, thank you, we are taking over now. It can't be. That's very much unfair. We respect the authority of the National Executive Committee. We respect the authority of the national leadership. But we are saying it must be fair to us. It must be fair to us. We have been seized with this process from the beginning. None of you saw even one member of the National Executive Committee attending the court proceedings to defend the ANC. None of you. There was not even a statement from the ANC. There was not even a statement. Now, to come at a tail end and say, thank you, comrade, you tried your best, now we are taking over, we have no authority over this, is quite unfair. And we think we are going to engage the National Executive Committee on this matter. We want to assure members of the ANC in the province and people of KwaZulu-Natal that there is no vacuum in leadership. The leadership elected in the 8th Provincial Conference remains in office and enjoys popular support and will continue to provide leadership to the organization and to society. I'm sure you have all seen. People are going to work, everything is normal. They know that they are still under the leadership of the ANC in the province, everything is normal. People are not worried. We are saying they must resist the temptation that will make them feel now, hey, there's stability in the province. No, there is still leadership of the Provincial Executive Committee led by Comrade Sihle Zikalala. And there is no other premier or other chairperson who has authority over the province. It's only Comrade Sihle Zikalala as the chair, Comrade Willis Mkunu, the deputy chair, Comrade Super Zuma, the provincial secretary, Comrade Mluleki Ndobe, provincial deputy secretary, and Comrade Nomusa Dube Ngube, provincial treasurer, and all additional members as elected in the 8th Provincial Conference of the ANC. Then the last issue that we want to deal with. There's also been an attempt to maliciously interpret the verdict to mean that it has a knock-on effect on all decisions taken by the PEC, including reconstitution of the Provincial Executive Committee, or Council rather. That one that we'll call the Provincial Cabinet. You will remember that the reconstitution of that Provincial Cabinet happened under the leadership that is in office now. So now there is a view that even those decisions are illegal, they must be declared null and void. Let's just quote what the court said. Ne? It's not Msheng who's saying this. It's the full bench of the High Court sitting in Pietermaritzburg. Now the court says the setting aside of a principal act does not inevitably result in the invalidation of subsequent acts. The setting aside of a principal act, and in this case, the conference, the 8th Provincial Conference, and decision taken at the 8th Provincial Conference, does not inevitably result in the invalidation of subsequent acts, and in this case, decisions that were taken by the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC elected in that Provincial Conference. The court cited the case, the Constitutional Court case of the Democratic Alliance versus the President of the Republic. You'll remember the case of Smelane, the former National Director of Public Prosecution. This is what the Constitutional Court said in that judgment. It says, however, in the circumstances, we should make an order that the invalidity of Mr. Smelane's appointment will not by itself affect the validity of any decisions taken by him while in the office of the National Director of Public Prosecution. This will mean that all decisions made by him remain challengeable on any ground other than the Constitutional Court says in the case of Smelane, the decisions taken by the then advocate Mrs. Smelane remains valid and lawful, and they cannot be challenged on the basis that his appointment was subsequently declared unlawful. You must find other reason to challenge them. So even the court in Maritzburg says decisions that were taken by the Provincial Executive Committee, the one that is still in office today, that the one that will take us to the 10th or 9th Provincial Conference of the ANC, their decision remains valid, and anyone who wants to challenge them must challenge them on any other ground except that the conference or the PEC was elected by the conference that was subsequently declared unlawful and void by the court of law. So I want to assure the people of KwaZulu-Natal that the decision of the court has no impact on government and its decision, and the provincial government remains intact, stable, and focused on service delivery under the stewardship of Comrade Willis Mkhulu. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much to Comrade Mshengu. That is a statement of all the leagues in the province. We all agree unanimously. Esisbalenda wonye, savumelana ngaso, and a representation of all the regions that are present here today. We've also been joined by the regional chairperson of KwaZulu region, Comrade Ricardo. Bingelela mpela sebebengakubona. Phelele impela ngizwile nje nombuzo othi amalahla wekho cha amalahla wanayo leadership. Amalahla were disbanded, and the decision of the PEC still stands. They are still disbanded, so they will not be here. Let me thank you. Ulowa South Coast chairperson is supposed to be here. but une engagement, une executive council of you can prove it, you can check he is there, because he's the mayor of Ubud district. Just because we are having a press conference does not mean government must come to an end or must stop. Chairperson we-ANC Women's League aede masiqeda lapho sizothatha ubaba uDlomo owusihlalo we-Veterans League, then we'll take a couple of hands from ama-comrades region. Chairman.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo. Mhlambe to make some additions. As Women's League in the province, we have a fresh mandate. We are coming fresh from conference, and we are more than ready. If it is said we should go, the conference should go back, we are more than ready. We can do wonders this time around. I fully concur with what Mshengu has said. This time around, we can do wonders. For your information, the NEC had a reasonable number of members who were deployed in this conference. They were supposed to see and say something on whatever they see going wrong, because they were supposed to preside over whatever was happening in the conference. And the other thing, there was an electoral commission who was presiding over the conference. To our surprise, is that what Mshengu has said. When the name of Comrade Mbali Myeni, you understand that all the names for officials made it through the ballot from regions. But the name of Comrade Mbali Myeni was raised on floor. That name struggled to make 25%. You wonder, what is it that can take the PEC to court? Because that was a sign which told you that these people do not have numbers. It was just black and white. Even the Electoral Commission can confirm this one. So you have PEC members who were not PEC members by that time, but PEC members who are listed now as people who should be saying something on this. Remember, there were NEC presiding, there was the Electoral Commission. Those PEC members were not in the offices yet. How on earth can you say those PEC members must respond now? You take them as respondent number 4, 5 or something. The PEC members who were not in the offices yet. We find this very sad. In fact, it is a very sad occasion. But we want it back so that we prove to everyone in KwaZulu-Natal, as members of the ANC Women's League, fresh from conference, showed them in this conference of the ANC Women's League, there was that element as well. But we showed everyone where the balance of forces lies. So we are not afraid for anything. It can be taken back. We fully support that the appeal, the PEC should appeal this one, because we really believe that everything was done according to books. No one was supposed to complain. We see complaints right now, but no one actually was supposed to complain. And let them do whatever, but we are more than ready as members of the ANC, and members of the ANC Women's League. Members of the ANC Women's League are voting delegates in their branches in their own rights. We are more than ready. If the conference can be called tomorrow, let's call it. Thank you.
Siyabonga Chairman. Ngicela ukuhand over ke kuBaba uDlomo, who is the chairperson of the Veterans.
Angibonga. Ngibingelele intatheli nabendaba nabafundaba ngibingelele lonke ozakwethu. Okwangifishane kakhulu ama-comrade asebekile indaba ekade sihlangene ngayo kuphela. We as a Veterans League, I want to say that we are disappointed ukuthi sibone inhlangano African National Congress indaba zawo sedecide yinkantolo namajaji. We as African National Congress, we believe we can sit down together and we engage till we get to the finality ukuthi kufanele kwenzekeni. Leye inkantolo ukuthi abantu bangafuni ukulidwa kodwa bafuna ukulida. I-culture entsha le ka-ANC sekwafika imali ka-ANC, abantu abasafuna ukholwa, sebefuna ukhola bonke abantu. Ingakho sebeyisa inkantolo abantu ANC inkantolo. Ngokwesingami njengama-veteran, abantu abayiswe ANC inkantolo, we can call them a counter-revolutionaries. Abantu abavukela umbutho wesizwe. Ayikho elinye igama mina ngibabuza ngalo. Those people who taking the ANC to court are counter-revolutionaries. Fanele kuphele lokho kuba nje kuyagcina ngiyahambisana kakhulu ukuthi asambe senkantolo ngoba kufanele sidefende lento, kodwa next time akube kuyagcina ngoba ANC instead ngabe kufanele sisebenza kakhulu ukubuyisana, senze i-unity in ourselves njengo-African National Congress, and sibuye silande i-society. Sinesivumelwano thina njengo-ANC esasenza ne-society ukuthi siyohambisana ne-society. Umphakathi umangele manje ukuthi u-ANC wasuye inkantolo, kanti u-ANC siwazi ukuthi uhlala phansi izinto uyixoxe ngaphakathi. Lento yokuthatha i-ANC uyise inkantolo into efika nama-opposition parties. Kunabantu-ke la ka-ANC asebembatha nezitha. Ukumbatha kwabo nezitha kwenza ukuthi bathathe i-culture yezitha bayilethe ka-ANC. I-culture yezitha le ukuyisa i-ANC inkantolo. That's why we call them counter-revolutionaries. Lo cabanga ukuthi mengagculisekile u-ANC anga-engage no-ANC hamba enkantolo, umuntu ovukela umbuso lo kuba kuyenzeka nje makuqeda lezi zinto kufanele bashashele i-treason ukushisa umbuso. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga kakhulu sihlalo. Silidwa wena la. Comrade Mshengu udile nama-matters amaningi ke, and I think I just have 2 points that I want to, one, emphasize and the other one raise. The first one is an emphasis on the powers of the PEC. There seems to be a narrative out there that says the PEC gets delegated powers from the National Executive Committee. It's not true. If you want to check the powers of the PEC, you must read Rule 19.1 of the Constitution of the African National Congress. It clearly states that the PEC has its original powers, and those original powers of the PEC are subject only to the provisions of the Constitution. That's what the Constitution says. So ayikho okuntethi we get our powers that are delegated. Regions have delegated powers that they get from the PEC. That is why we have the authority to take away powers from other regions if we feel that regions are not doing what they should be doing. I wanted to clarify that, or maybe add, because Comrade Mshengu had raised it. But the second point that I also wanted to raise is on the executive and the working of government, and how the judgment affects the decisions of the executive in this province. You must remember that the Premier is not appointed by the ANC. The Premier is elected by members in the legislature. So what affects the PEC is not what has affected the legislature. If you want to change the Premier, you must go to the legislature get members, get a majority, and you put in a new premier. So Premier Corner was elected in the legislature, and if the premier must be changed, will be changed in the legislature. And subsequent to that, MECs that are in office were appointed by the premier who was elected in the legislature. There's a clarify that government is not going to be affected by anything moving forward, because things are there as they should be. That is why we have a constitution of the country that guides how we do things, and we also have a constitution of the ANC that guides us how we do things. Leadership has spoken. I will just take a couple of hands to add, then I'll come to you for questions. I still come to Tandu Kolo, Kuma regions, I'll then take Ricardo Combe to Upegi, Givale Monopala La Petune. Okay, come to Tandu Kolo.
So memes.
Oh,
So you want
ne ANN 7 ay Sunday. Ngiyazi uthi ngilayo. No, thank you very much. I just want to add a couple of things. I think if you look at the order from the court, it gives an order that all the respondents must pay 1/2 of the legal costs. Now, does it even make sense? You were not part of a decision to convene a conference. You had nothing to do with it. The court then decides that it must be you who pays. In fact, it's one of the reasons why we must appeal. In fact, the court should be saying the people who must pay is from Senzo Mchunu, the convener of the conference. Yes. Because Senzo Mchunu was the chairperson of the province at the time when the conference was convened. To the last PEC member who was part of the 7th Provincial Executive Committee of the province. I think I concur Kakulu Nostalo Youth League when he says these comrades are disingenuous, those who took us to court. They participated. If you look at the role of Senzo Mchunu, he even presented a political report in the conference. And when he was nominated, he was asked, he never said the conference is illegal. When he was nominated, he said, I'm available. Peg Nkonyeni as well, the former treasurer. He also said she is available.
She cried, in fact.
And began a process of crying when she lost.
She cried.
With regards to the appeal, I don't think there's two way about it, because this thing, it must not even be as if there is a question to it. It's a decision. The PEC is appealing the decision, and we don't need anybody's permission. We don't need even the NEC's permission to appeal. It's the PEC. It's the PEC that's in court. Go look at the papers. The NEC is not in court. It's the chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Sihle Zigalala, and other PEC members. They are the ones who are in court. So we don't need anybody's permission to appeal to go to court. Number two, it doesn't make sense. Imagine, you are arrested for something else, you get convicted, someone else says they want to come and appeal for you. You must not appeal. A lawyer will play, my passage. That law can't work with us. We are appealing the decision. And in fact, today, the officials have been instructed by the PEC. Today, they must file the intention to appeal. The provincial officials of the ANC. We know what this case is about, by the way. This case is not about the provincial conference. We must speak the truth to the people of KwaZulu-Natal and South Africa. This case is not about the provincial conference. These comrades are not even contesting the provincial conference. They know that there's no space to contest. All regions, as you can see, all of them are here. If you convene a conference tomorrow, they'll re-elect Sihle and Super as the secretary. So how do you then think these comrades are contesting the provincial conference? These comrades are contesting national conference. If you can see the former chair of the province, Comrade Senzo Mkhunu, he's up and down the entire country, addressing chairs in Limpopo and addressing chairs in the Free State. So this court case is not about the provincial conference, it's about the national conference. But what we want to say to them, hey, they must think again. The PEC is not voting in the national conference.
Branches.
It is the branches. These regions are still intact. If they think this thing is going to destabilize our resolve of on Mama Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, they must think again. We are on the ground, just above the grass. That's where we are. We know our story. We are on top of issues in this province. So there's no turning back. December, we are coming as branches of KwaZulu-Natal. Sihle Zikalala is a member in Matthews Meiwa. In Million Meiwa branch in Ndwedwe. If you want to nullify him as a chair, he will be a branch delegate. He will still lead us. He's our choice.
With his constitutional right.
These comrades who are up and down in the province, some of them, they are addressing funerals, insulting the president. They must come and address ANC structures. Yeah, ANC structures. Come and insult the president of the ANC in front of us. We are the structures. Come to the PEC of the Youth League. Come to the PEC of the Women's League. And tell us Zuma is a rapist. Don't go to a funeral and call the president a rapist there. Those people are mourning. They don't even care. They are worried about the body they are going to bury. President Zuma is no rapist. The court made it very clear. So we are sending a warning. If anyone thinks KwaZulu-Natal is going to be in chaos, they are playing games. We must remind them, even when we were going to the 8th conference of the ANC, it was the Youth League that was leading. We are going to do it again. We are going to do it again. But the reality is that Sihle Zikalala is the chair. And on the 30th of this month, if you don't believe that is a chair, come to KwaTukuza in Mandeni in the 70th anniversary of the Youth League. Sihle Zikalala, the provincial chair, will be addressing thousands of young people there. Because that is the chair of the ANC in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. The last one I had, conferences of the ANC are always convened early. It's nothing new. Even with the new guidelines for the national conference that were presented by the very same SG of the ANC, are saying conferences, all conferences must be convened by the end of this month. That means if your conference was due next month, you must convene it now, earlier, because it's a norm. And it's not as if this conference was convened 2 years early. It was convened 5 months before its due date, merely to ensure that the ANC is intact by the time of the local government elections. And because the PEC led by Senzo Mkhunu had become dysfunctional, what was supposed to happen if a PEC was dysfunctional? We were part of it. I was part of that PEC. It was dysfunctional. Senzo could not lead anymore. Couldn't take decisions. yet he wants to be SG today, presided over a conference. He convenes a conference, he goes to court tomorrow when he loses. Now, as the Youth League, we have a responsibility of telling the truth. If it hurts someone, sorry. The truth is the truth. Sihle Zikalala will remain a leader. Mama Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma will be elected in December. Thank you.
While we are above, we are just sitting on the grass. Above the grass. Above the grass. Just above the grass. On the ground, just above the grass.
No, thanks very much.
Ricardo, the chairperson of KwaZulu region.
No, thanks very much. Greetings to everyone. I think mine is very short. I think on as region, as we are here, united as we are, as we are united in the 8th conference of the ANC. I think a lot have been said. I was part of the PEC that took a decision of the early conference. And of course we won. And I remember that I was lectured for about 6 minutes by the previous chairperson, Comrade Senz, about democracy and why it is important to have that conference. And one is disappointed that, of course, the submissions include the early conference as if because we warned them, in fact, that to say they may rush the conference thinking that they are going to win the conference. They must expect that the conference might not go on their way. Exactly, it happened and people are going to court. But what we want to say that we are supporting the decision to appeal as regions. But if it was according to us, we were going to go for a conference. Because we believe that branches are confident about the leadership, and we have seen in these months that have led the province leading very well in terms of directing the ANC and the government in the correct direction of radical economic transformation, which was lacking, in fact, which resulted to us to think that we need to change the leadership, because changing the leadership was not a mistake. It was something that we thought we should do if we want to take the province somewhere. So we are waiting, and of course, while the appeal, but as regions, we are going to be gearing for ourselves, because I want to concur with those who are saying this is not about the conference. This is about destabilizing us as regions, as a province, towards the national conference. Unfortunately, they cannot disturb regions. Province exists because they are regions. So therefore, as regions, we are behind this leadership, and we are behind in all decisions, even the decision about the national conference. So we are saying, but we also want, because there are journalists here who are good investigators. I wish one day, either reading in a newspaper, because when you analyze those who have filed papers in court, some of them, they are unemployed people. We will be happy to know who funded them to take the ANC to court, because their money is paid. And I'm sure some of you investigate even things that are not known by ourselves. Some of the things sizizwa ngani. So we hope ngelinye ilanga we will get to who are these forces that are trying by all means to destabilize the organization. But as regions, we are ready. We'll be contacting our branches, as what Uza will be talking to all our branches 77 on Sunday, and all of them, they will be coming with a position to say we're not shaken. In fact, le yenza ukuthi sibe more strong, because it tells us ukuthi the enemy is within us. So thanks very much.
Let's then give to Unobala where women comrade not under Kabela.
Thanks, Deputy Chair. Deputy Chair, I just want to concur with comrade that have spoken. But what puzzles us as the Women's League of this province is that this thing happened during our leadership term in office as women, as after we have pronounced that come the conference, the national conference in December, we'll be electing and behind the comrade who's Nkosazana Dlamini as women of South Africa, because she has been there in the ANC. Now, because you have seen that there were comrades, some of them who filed papers in court, I didn't even see them in rallies, local mayor rallies, beside the ANC rallies in the province. Abantu abasha nje ongakazi ubabone esiqala nokubezwa amagama, but because there is money that is being pushed in the province, kiyazi ukuthi people are dividing the ANC in the province, because KZN in national conferences is the deciding conference. Once you are with the KZN, you know that you are gone with that conference. So we are not shaken. And I just want to remind you that Comrade Mshoengu, before the provincial conference, Comrade Dusenzo, the former chairperson of the province, led delegation of PEC members to RGCs, where they were telling branches that they are unable to lead the province. In one of the meetings, it was in Moses Mabhida, Pietermaritzburg, there was a comrade from Mngeni who stood up and said, Comrade Senzo, if you are saying to us as branches of the ANC in this province, and sakwazi ukulida, kusho ukuthi kuzofanele ningastendi nobabili. Those were branches of the ANC which were in good standing and which were going to participate in the conference. So today, they are all forgotten that they are the ones who called us as branches. By the way, there is 828 wards in the province, and 572 branches passed the audit. AI qualified this province to go into conference. The 1/3 of that number is 282, if I'm not mistaken. Even today, if it calls us to have 1/3 OBC conference, singaba nawo size sudlule. Tina, we are talking as the Women's League of the ANC, because before we become members of the Women's League, we are members of the ANC. We are not like SACP or whoever, because those are brother churches. Abangakhuluma nje no COSATU, even the IFP member can become a COSATU if a join a union edlelana ne COSATU. But as the Women's League, see Women's League because we have in membership ANC before we become Women's League, and we are voting delegates in conferences. Even in this conference, we are voting, and we know the results. So now siyaqala ukuthi yini lentsha eyenziwa amakomrade ebesiwahlonipha kakhulu in the province. Uyacabanga uchairperson, we are respecting him ngendlela esimanga, sazi ukuthi he joined the ANC voluntarily and uprotectwe ile constitution sonke esiprotectile, but taking this matter to court abese yaqasha angabi forward, but mase kuphuma isinqumo kuba uyena number 1 ozo commenter in the media. Kuyasithusa kakhulu, and siyafisa nathi ukuthi le dignity ebesimnikeza yena as women zase KZN I maintain, so that if esekhethiweke in the conference, because siyambona mningi kakhulu uya campaigner without a position, because thina uyena wayesitshela wayunobhala lo muntu for a long time, esitshela ukuthi if you are not a leader khona izinto ongakwazi ukuzenza, and we listen to him. Now uyena osenza otherwise, but ke mhlambe khona indlela abenza ngayo bona nomthetho. Siyocela nje ukuthi umese unobhala makwenzeka mhlambe kwakhethwa Nkosi yami asazi kanjani, because we are there in branches. Thina siyobe sivota ke, even if iPEC lethu ayinali ilungelo lokuvota, because thina we are ex officials of the PEC in the province with the leagues. Sinali ilungelo lokuya kwi conference, because thina siyaphila, thina we are fresh from ama conferences with the Youth League, asinayo inking. So siyobe sisekhona, and you are there in the ground, and unfortunately it's us who are leading a constituency enabantu abaningi, and people who are participating in branches of the ANC, in BGMs and by AGMs. You'll get women, you'll get the youth. So it's us. Siyotholana khona nalabo bantu, especially laba abanye abakhuluma kakhulu. Sibalinde ngempela nje ukuthi akayibizwe conference whatever in national ezoqhamuka nayo, but siyathuka kakhulu ukuthi all over i-process iqhubeka ye-case, i-leadership never commented. Even sesicela in the PEC taking a resolution city, i-leadership ye-ANC, because they were the ones who were presiding over the conference. There were a number of comrades, TG, Deputy General Secretary, uchairperson we-national was there, but abazange baze bakhulume. Kodwa sesiyathukana base sizocomrade uzizi ukuthi sebe na into abangayisho. Aqhubeke njengoba de kwenzeka comrades. Abaqhubeke nje ade benza abathule iPEC eboshiwe yayingekho in power by then iyona ezokwazi uyiphendula because abazokwazi ukukhokha le mali ekuthiwa bayikhokhe. Siyabonga.